A deadline is coming, and a deadline is coming to Wrestling Appreciation Society out there in Huddersfield on April the 29th. And we are now less than 8 weeks away. And our guest tonight on Sportswire Radio was so excited to have him on that we're even a couple of minutes early. Usually I'm a couple of minutes late. I got to warm up. I got to get ready in the back. I got to get ready in the dressing room. But not tonight, because his story is going to be one that I promise you it's going to be worth it. He's going to speak about his journey. He's going to speak about his plans, the Phantom Phoenix, and who knows what else. He needs no further introduction, but we're going to give it to him anyway. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one. Global Sports Show. The wrestling star here from the Wrestling Appreciation Society, Owen Cole. Owen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm always good because we are live here and we have got a ton of comments already, and I'm going to pull those comments up shortly. But Owen, I have to ask you a question, especially for somebody that we have on like yourself for the first time, especially for those that are listening and watching this on Sportswire Radio, wherever you might be, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, sportnarium.com/player, a little internet radio dial. And I mean, talk about how you've gotten into professional wrestling and what is make you want to join this crazy circuit that we call professional wrestling.
Well, whenever I was younger, my parents used to go visit my grandparents a lot, and I would always go into the living room with my granddad Tony, and he would always have WWE on, and it would either be reruns of like Raw or SmackDown from like the weekend. And this was like early 2000s, mid 2000s WWE. So it was like Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, and that just
Randy Orton. Yep.
Yeah, Randy Orton. I think Cody Rhodes was on whenever I was first watching it as well. But ever since then, like I saw them wrestling and I just like that's who I want to be. That's what I want to do. I want to be the next CM Punk. I want to be the next Jeff Hardy. I want to be the next guy basically in the ring winning whatever it is. So here I am.
Well, you look like you might be. Has anybody told you have a little bit of a Randy Orton edge to you a little bit? You've got the kind of the height. You've got a little bit of the hairstyle, the early hairstyle now, because obviously Mr. Orton is certainly a little bit older there. But I'll come back to you in a second. But I should bring up some comments because I have a bunch of them here. Our sort of guest last night, who has been the talk of a number of different wrestling companies, Skulls is here. I mean, Skulls, they call him a soul collector, by the way. He's here with us. Matt Royale is here. Of course, Matt Royale we've had a couple of different times here, and he was on with us a few weeks ago. Also, somebody I think you'll be seeing on the 29th of April, Callum Jakester, 1/4 of the NSOR Tag Team Champions. The Society says hello from me and Phantom Phoenix's mom, and also cheap plug for Callum because he's got a pro wrestling team.
I like that. Phoenix, we're whatever, but honestly, I respect that joke.
All right, fair enough. And good evening from management here at WAS, and also the Phantom Phoenix here, which I believe we'll be speaking about here shortly. So certainly a good evening to you, and he says a good evening to you as well. So all right, so obviously you're going into it, you become a big fan, and then you've obviously decided to join the Wrestling Appreciation Society. So talk to me about what you're looking forward to here on the 29th of April, which I kind of think will be a segue into some of these different individuals that have chimed in so far.
Well, come 29th of April, I've obviously been entered into the Deadline Rumble, and I'm looking forward to winning and outlasting 29 other people. Well, 28 other men and Zachary Zest. So he- he's more of a pest than anything at this point. So, but aside from that, I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on this masked attacker next time they show up.
Well, this mask attacker has kind of been the talk of Wrestling Appreciation Society, along with a referee that was attacked a few
Mm,
weeks ago, which we
yeah.
kind of talked about here. But we'll get into that referee later on. But I mean, this masked attacker has been kind of the craze here in WAS, and I mean,
Mm,
even it's kind of for the moment aligned you and the fan of Phoenix, which I think
mm,
earlier on nobody would have saw coming. So I mean, let's
mm.
talk about this here. I mean, what is how serious and how has this gotten under your and others' skin here in WAS?
Well, I wasn't the first one attacked. Whenever it first happened, I thought, that's kind of funny seeing Pagan laid out on the floor. I enjoyed that, but then it amped up. It was me, then it was Matt, then it was Phoenix. We've all been attacked, and this guy is trying to kill Deadline, which is for charity. He's trying to kill a charity show before it even gets off the ground, and that's there's a line, and he's crossed it.
It sounds like it's the famous Iron Maiden song, "The Thin Line Between Love and
Yeah,
Hate." But I mean, okay, those are fair points. But I mean, obviously, you really think that he's or could even be anything, right? Let's be serious here for a
yeah,
second. I mean that this thing or this attacker is trying to kill Deadline. You think that that's the case?
yeah. I mean, he's going after the roster. He's taking out wrestlers left, right, and center. First, like I said, Pagan, then me, Matt, Phoenix. I mean, you never know who's next.
All right. Well, I'll come back to my questions. I do have some more comments. Phantom Phoenix says, back with the mother jokes again, Callum. Insults about as soft as your punches. Ooh, I'll tell you what, I have a feeling here we're going to find out about how those punches are on the 29th of April. Matt
Mm.
Royale says, I promise you, Carter, we are working on it and we will find out who this guy is. And Donnie Franchise, who was with us last week, says, good evening. And also, Skull says, kind of the Captain Obvious one, he's trying to complete a hit list. Almost like, remember when Jericho had the list? Is you
Yeah,
think maybe that's what it is here? The attackers coming up with the list?
maybe. I mean, he's gone after some big names. He's gone after myself. He's gone after Matt Royale. He's gone after Phantom Phoenix. Maybe he's going after the top players.
Do you think that that's by design? Do you think that it's almost kind of, you know what, if we take out these individuals, I mean, I'll even throw it out there. Do you think it's maybe even somebody that works in an outside company that's decided, hey, you know what, let's kind of basically take them out from the outside so talent like yourself, talent like Matt, talent like even Phantom, talent like even Donnie or anybody else you think of here on this stacked roster, by the way, we have a stacked roster at
Yeah.
WAS. Do you think that maybe some of this is designed from the outside because you guys could be competitors to some of the premier wrestling companies around out there?
I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak for that. One thing I can say, though, is it wouldn't be the first time that there's been an invasion. And we've seen other wrestlers outside of WAS taking out members of WAS, with obviously Kyle Kennedy attacking Sammy.
Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna
Yeah.
get to that here in a few minutes, and obviously that has been the talk of the pro wrestling world. The attack, as some would say, the senseless attack from the lawman Kyle Kennedy, one of the other fourth members of the Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Champions, the Society. So, I mean, we're gonna get to that here, but I mean, how much have you thought about this? You've because to me it sounds like you've thought about this so much that you would even put aside some earlier differences with the Phantom Phoenix to kind of figure this out. So kind of maybe then, since we know that the Phantom Phoenix is here with us, maybe talk about how you guys have kind of put aside some of your own differences to kind of get to the bottom of this.
Well, I was the one who sort of extended the olive branch to him because I realized that no matter our issues, we have to have a show for us to settle this. Because we are going to settle whatever issues we have. Might as well be on a big stage in front of however many people buy their tickets and raise money for charity while beating the daylights out of each other. So,
well, you guys are going to definitely beat the living daylight out of each other, and certainly we'll want everybody to follow Wrestling Appreciation Society. We'll promote all that here. But I mean, let's talk about this Rumble, because I have a feeling, though, that there is going to be a who's who of competitors that are in this Rumble. I mean, are there any names in particular you might be excited for, or maybe want to cross paths with? It could be Edsaw, it could be, I don't know, GT Ministries, it could be Blackheart Wrestling, could be even WAS. Anybody in particular you might be interested in Owen Carter in terms of maybe crossing paths with or such?
well, obviously, we have an incredibly stacked roster of our own at WAS, but I have a few issues to sort with Remus Kane and Kyle for putting his hands on Sammy. So, Callum as well, you're calling out Phantom. Well, I do appreciate the joke going after Phantom's mom. In fact, I've made a joke about it as well whenever I got attacked. If you watch that video, you can remember that. But yeah, the society in general, I'm willing to cross paths with all of them by myself, with Phoenix, 4-on-1, 4-on-2, 2-on-2, whatever.
All right, well, I've got a ton of comments here, so let me try to get to them. In fact, one individual is actually, he's actually calling me directly, so we'll come to him last. Let's kind of warm things up here, as they might say. Connor Cage says, good evening, and Connor Cage is going to be, I have no doubt, a part of this. And April 1st, his deadline could be coming up because he's facing Disciple for that NSAW World Class Championship. And also, Skulls wants to ask you, do you need me to collect any souls? So do you want
No,
souls?
no, I'm
Okay.
trying
Because he's
to
kind of like,
get
if you remember when ECW was on Sci-Fi here in America, they used to play, I think it was Ghost Hunters, right? Either before or after ECW shows. And my running joke has been that Skulls is actually a part of that here. But also here, you know what? I'm going to go right to it here. Young Horror says, saw the shirt the other day that yours truly is wearing. Funny how you were wearing my merchandise about considering what you instigated between myself and Dan Robertson the other week. Did I do enough to satisfy? No, you were the one that went out there and attacked him. I wasn't there on Switten. I wasn't there wrestling at Fatal Attraction. You were the one that did what you, in your mind, thought you had to do. And while Mr. Robertson is here, because I'm going to address this and kind of tie two and two with each other, Mr. Robertson, despite all that you did to him, actually got the 1-2-3. So you might have done plenty of damage to Mr. Robertson, but he certainly found a way to win. But what I will also say, to be completely objective, is that I referenced you, Mr. Horace, and the fact when Mr. Robertson had Mr. Kennedy here on the stream with us and he kind of interrupted, I kind of referenced your beating of Mr. Robertson so that Mr. Robertson, in a way, can kind of learn from that and that he doesn't get the same mistake with his attempts to try to join Remus Kane and the rest of the society. So how do you like that there, Mr. Horace? And yes, we are wearing your shirt. You can go on Pro Wrestling Tees and go get a Young Horace shirt like his, because I have a feeling that a whole lot of other people are going to wear those shirts, and especially now that we have a Lawman Kyle Kennedy page, a Callum Jakeser page. So you know what, Young Horace? You're just a part of everybody's wardrobe that I'm going to wear at this point. Everybody's wrestling pages. So listen, I definitely did enjoy the attack, though. So I will say that I did enjoy the attack. But Dan Robertson, to his credit, got the win. The lawman Kyle Kennedy, who you just mentioned, we're going to get back to him. My ears are burning. Richard Knights, know him very well. Trainees attempting to jump on a bandwagon in a hurry to call out the society. When you're pulling your weight, come and find us. You know what? I'm going to go with this comment here first. I'll come back to some of the other things. But there is a point to be made, right? Because I've seen the society be called out by, let's say, those that maybe pull their weight or their weight is closer to the society. When you think about the first class this past Monday, when we think about the Nomad Dalton Garrett and Champagne Charlie, and I even think about Chris Murphy, who's holding a couple of championships currently in different promotions, or different other people that have dealt with the society. Those would say, those individuals, well, they make sense in kind of calling out the society. But yet, some might say that the Wrestling Appreciation Society, the more newer kids on the block,
What? I live here.
what
Why
are they
don't-
doing? So what are they doing here? So I mean, what's your take on that there? And I certainly, I'm sure that the society member or two that might want to hear that as well in the background.
Well, look, I get why people would think like, oh, we're a society at a school. We're not on the level of, say, a Champagne Charlie or a Dalton Garrett or a Chris Murphy. I get that. I do. But what they don't understand is we are just as hungry. We are just as talented as anyone in any locker room across the world. So anyone who says different, I dare you to step up to me, to Phoenix, to Matt, to Donnie Franchise. Any one of us can go with any one of you.
All right. I mean, does that satisfy people? I don't know. But I do have some more comments, so I'm not going to go too further when it comes to this, because Dan Robertson says, evening from the cult. How does it feel knowing you'll be thrown out by the Lord and Savior? Also, your little bird friend can get slept too, with a wink, wink. So that's from Mr. Robertson. Anything you want to say to Dan Robertson?
I mean, I haven't really thought of him.
Wow! I mean, you sure? Because everybody, it seems like, has some thought on Dan Robertson. You're actually the first person I've heard that really hasn't thought about him here. Matt Royale says, as someone who has had a hand in training, I can honestly say you are someone to watch at Deadline. You have come on so much since we began your training. So go show the society, everyone else, that you're a threat in the ring. And Matt Royale is going to be there April the 1st at Zenith. And I have the feeling that he's going to show maybe the society a thing or two. And what does that comment mean to you?
Honestly, that does mean a lot. I realize that I'm not the most personable person in the society. I've been sort of secluded, if you will.
Well,
But
why is that? Why have you been secluded so much? Why?
I'm
I
just
mean, you're
not
here.
I'm just not really a people person, honestly. But to have Matt say that, it genuinely does mean a lot. So, Matt, go show everyone what you can do at Zenith, and I'll show everyone what I can do at Deadline.
All right. Well, we have some more comments here. Dan Robertson echoes my sentiment. Horace still lost. Yeah, listen, I mean, young Horace did do a number on Dan Robertson, but he got arguably one of the biggest wins of his career. He beat him. So you know what? I don't know if it was reverse psychology. I don't know if it was planned all along. But what young Horace did to Dan Robertson still wasn't enough, because Dan Robertson got the win. I have a feeling that Mr. Robertson and Mr. Horace aren't finished by a long shot, especially if Mr. Horace has his way. And something tells me here that Mr. Horace will be back on Sportswire Radio, and something tells me that Mr. Robertson will be back on Sportswire Radio. And it's not about me, it's about them, because I'm not the one in the ring, and I'm not the one that's going to be out there at the Be Strong Performance Center in Swinton. It's about those individuals. So, Mr. Horace, I wouldn't worry so much about who actually is wearing your shirt and focus more on winning a match and evening a score with Dan Robertson. But we're here with Owen Carter. Carter looks like Finn Balor if he got shrunk in the washing machine. Yeah, you do have a little bit of a Finn Balor vibe to him. I mean, are you looking?
I'll take it.
All right. Well, you know what? I mean, I'll take some of the women he's had outside the wrestling ring. But hey, I'm going to move off that comment. But certainly, we'll see if what Mr. Edge did to what Mr. Edge is going to do to him here coming up. But How do you plan? That's a good question. How do you plan? Let's move away from that. How do you plan to eliminate the other 19 opponents in the Rumble? We are generally interested to hear your battle strategy April the 29th.
I mean, hit them until they stop moving. That's it.
So there's nothing else. There's no.
It's pretty simple. There's 19 other people. There's one of me.
Well, see, I've been I have to ask you a follow up because I have been doing this a while. I have had Rumble winners on. I had a guy last week, Big Cheese Logan, who we're going to see him at Championship Wrestling Entertainment the week prior, and he's undefeated throughout his career. And all his goal is to win Rumble. I had Andre Decker, who's won a Rumble, RPD, who's won a Rumble, Gareth Angel, obviously won a Rumble. We've seen some of the Enso crowd that it's here with us, and you don't have no other plans other than just that. There's no like strategy. There's no game plan. That's it.
I'm not a very strategically minded person. If I'm going to be completely honest, I'm going to go in. I'm going to beat everyone senseless, and I'm going to chuck their bodies over the top rope. It's
Okay.
simple as that.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. We'll certainly find out here. And thank you, Tom. Finally, someone is smart enough to call out these nobodies. You know what? I want to follow up again with this, and I don't mean to bring up the lawman Kyle Kennedy in this because I do want to talk about Sammy Rice, right? I do want to talk about that, but that has been the talk of the veteran wrestlers that I have had on here these past several months, and I don't want to name the individuals' names. You can look them up. They're all over the place. They've been world champions. They're main eventers. They've been guys that have done the big things that you guys aspire to do, right? And some of them have said on this show live, they've been straight up and said that, whether it's these nobodies that have only trained a couple matches, they film a promo and all of a sudden they're pro wrestlers, or some of them get called wrestle kids, whatever it is, right? These are my words. These are these individuals' words. That basically you guys are almost, how can I say this in the most politically correct way? You guys are trying to be professional wrestlers, but you aren't quite yet professional wrestlers. So I'm going to tie it in a way. Do you feel motivation on the 29th of April maybe to prove a lot of those veterans wrong?
I mean, obviously, people are going to be entitled to their opinion, but on the 29th of April, we're going to show why we all deserve to be in that ring. And on the 29th of April, no one is going to be able to take away the good work that we will have done as a society. No one's going to be able to say, oh, he's no good because he's only wrestled, 2-3 minutes. No, we're all going to show up and show out. And at the end of the night, when I get my hand raised as the winner of the Deadline Rumble, I'm going to prove to everyone why I am the best of the best of the best.
All right. Well, that's why you might want to follow Eoin Carter on Instagram at Real Outlaw King. Also, he's got a brand new Facebook page up and running here. Eoin Carter, please follow him. Also, WrestleSociety.HUD on Instagram, Wrestling Appreciation Society. Please support them, especially for this great code, which I do want to talk about here in a few minutes. But I do have a bunch of more comments here. Connor Cage, also a Rumble winner, says perhaps the same way I did at Nuclear Winter. Very fair point. I will give you that much. Also, Callum Jakester says, just know that everything Matt Royale has taught you has come from me. So you're welcome. That's a fair point because you do know that the upgrade, Callum Jakester, 10 years in the business. So he is certainly an upgrade, and certainly we're going to upgrade when we get a chance to wear his shirt. So certainly we look forward to wearing his shirt like everybody else's shirts, even a Young Horror shirt who has a comment here in a second, which I'll pull up. Turns out Treasurer Kiki wanted an appearance in the interview. Our apologies for the interpretation. Well, certainly we accept the apology, and we love our treasurer here on Sportswire Radio. And Prisoner Psycho here says, now, what have I stumbled upon into here? And Psycho, by the way, we saw you. Everybody can watch you at the Nonstop Action Wrestling YouTube page against Drac Cross and Psycho. What happened there? But in the meantime, what do you want to say to maybe the Psycho who we just saw in the asylum, which everybody can see on YouTube?
He had a really good showing against Drac Cross. He held his own. It's Drac was just the better man on the day. But Psycho is very talented. He's a lot like me in the way that he's not a very people person, but
Ah,
we can expect good things from him.
well, sometimes being not so much a people person might actually work to your advantage here in a match like this or in the wrestling ring. So I would say that actually could be to your benefit. But I guess this is young Horace because he has a question mark now on Facebook. Is that actually an icon? If anybody wants to check, because I can't check that in front of me, or that may be somebody's Facebook page acting differently. But young Horace says, "You tricked me onto your show to bait me into a standoff with Dan." No, I didn't trick you. That just happened by itself. That was Dan Robertson going and breaking into the stream, just like Kyle Kennedy broke in to Dan Robertson's stream, just like last night's guest Skulls broke into the new Messiah Nicholas Crenson stream. Just like it happens a whole number of times here. We are live. It's live radio. That can happen anywhere. So that's just the beauty of live radio. It's thanks to you that I finally got the match with Dan. And what happened? If Joshua Snow hadn't got involved with the match, I wouldn't have lost. As for Was, just like Ensaw, they are not on the level of real wrestlers like myself. And to be fair, that's the point that I just made. And also to follow up about young Horace, about some of my actions or some of the actions here. We had him on a few weeks back on Sportswire Radio. That's something you should take up with Joshua Snow. That's something that you need to go ask the management, especially the chairman of the company, on that. So that has nothing to do with me. I mean, you would have won the match. So at the end of the day, I'm not there. I'm not the referee. So that's something that you need to go figure out. But we're here with Owen Carter, not here with the Young Horace Hour, which would kind of sound good, right? The Young Horace Hour on Sportsfire Radio. Connor Cage, with your experience in Rumbles, I wouldn't be surprised if you did win. April the 29th, time will tell. That's all we can see. Carter and I may have started off on the wrong foot, but the both of us are very dangerous when we're on the same page, and we are a threat not to be taken lightly. Ooh, I'll tell you what, this is a reason why that I'm very excited about the Wrestling Appreciation Society on April the 29th. And again, you can go to huddersfieldsu.co.uk /groups /wrestling -appreciation -society -DAB2 events was -deadline to get your ticket, because I know you, and like everybody else, is going to want to be there. And Skull says Jordan Devon. What's Jordan Devon referred to? But all right, we'll get that from Skulls in a few minutes. This individual says, sounds like deadline is going to be an exciting night. Good luck to all the WAS trainees, to the University of Huddersfield. Do yourselves proud. I definitely agree with that individual's comment there. Also says here, which I'm going to bring up Kyle Kennedy in a second. Everyone will know your name. Yeah, all right. I guess we will, right? The only way to keep an industry going is to bring new blood into it. The guys that we have that have only recently started are showing the drive and the passion and the drive to become big names. Everyone has to start somewhere. And for this to be only a starting point for some of the guys, they are starting their careers with a bang. Do you feel that way for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it wasn't for new wrestlers coming in, the industry would have died out in the days of carny wrestling and however many years ago that was. So we wouldn't have an industry if it wasn't for new blood.
Yeah, I don't know if we have anybody alive that would have been actually alive during the Carney days, but Skulls will say everyone will know your name again. Callum was a trainee just like me. He can't claim to have taught me a thing. He was as green as they come when I first met him. And the lawman Kyle Kenny agreed, which I'm going to come back to. Management also goes further. Our boys have put the graft in it. From a promoter's point of view, they have advanced further than we could have ever expected. I think competitors and promoters alike will be genuinely surprised. We are the young blood of the wrestling scene, thanks to our collaboration and working partnership with NSAW. What does it mean for you to be working with Nonstop Action Wrestling along with the rest of the other talent?
It's honestly, it's a dream come true to even be learning to wrestle in the first place. So to do it with under the tutelage of the wild card Tommy Dillon, a former world champion, along with future stars like Connor Cage, who you better win that world class championship back, Connor. I am being
Wait, wait,
such.
wait, wait. You better win that world class championship. Do you know who he's wrestling on the 1st of April? Have you seen what Disciple has done? To be fair, have you seen what the Wrecking Crew has done to the likes of Bentley, the vigilante of pro wrestling, Gareth Angel, Pride, Dave Douglas, Maverick Matt Williams, who was a Bolton Town wrestling champion, Tommy Dillon, not once but twice, Supersonic Sammy Blue, the Northern Division champion in Nonstop Action Wrestling, and Disciple, less than 2 weeks from now, is facing off with the current Bolton Town wrestling champion, Jack Johnson. I mean, Disciple, basically, he's like the big leagues. He's the main event. I mean, he's going to be in the kingdom of wrestling, even wrestling Sheriff Steele, Mysterious Mr. B. We just saw him in UKW. Are you sure you want us back that comment still?
Yeah.
All right.
Stranger things have happened. Chris Jericho lost to a jobber like 2 months ago, and so
Action Andretti. Yeah, that was a name that certainly I think that's going to be a trivia question for a long time. I'll give you that much. Okay, we'll certainly see. I certainly do respect the hell out of Connor Cage and what he brings to the table, but I also respect the hell out of Disciple because he has been long one of our favorites here. But I have a lot of comments here, and I got to get to as many of them as I can here. And I also want to continue to plug Wrestling Appreciation Society and this individual says it was a graphical glitch. Yeah, I thought it was a graphical glitch on Young Horace. And Young Horace, by the way, the fact that I'm wearing your shirt, that's giving you good promotion. So at the end of the day, you still want the endorsement. You still want the promotion. So I think at the end of the day, some people need to focus their anger on better places rather than actually those that support them. But that's here nor there. If you stop learning and not a wrestler, I'm sure Royale and everyone else will have some new tricks up their sleeve, but we can't wait for that. You better need a new security program if people keep hacking into your live stream. Yeah, do you guys? I mean, are you guys worried that maybe you have security system needs to be upgraded? All right, all right.
I'm not an IT student, so I don't know anything about computers.
But Wrestling Appreciation Society does have a link for us where we can buy tickets, and that's the link that you can go out and get your ticket to see Owen Carter and so many others out there in the ring. And also here, let me get to a lot more comments. I mean, I have a ton of them. I walked in and on my first day held my own against the monster that controls the asylum. In regards to you, Mr. Outlaw, I admit you aren't the worst in the locker room like some of our peers, but if you believe you can get me over the top rope at deadline, you are sadly mistaken. You want to respond to Psycho?
Yeah. I don't make mistakes, Psycho. I make promises, and I promise you, you are one of the first I'm launching over that top rope.
All right. I'll tell you what. We'll have to find out here. Callum Jakes to the upgrade, who, by the way, I have to say, he's one of my favorites. I like what he does in the ring. Matt, when I joined you, you couldn't even throw a punch or deliver a kick. Until I joined, the tights you wear now are because I gave you them. Wow. I mean, listen, I don't know if I want to get that in detailed, but I could see that there's some tension between those two. Matt, when I first also joined the training school, you couldn't even throw a punch, deliver a kick. I think it's basically the same comment. He just typoed it. Okay. All right. Remus Kane says puppies. I never knew that puppies could make so much noise. Remus Kane, who you addressed, by the way, you and him have had an interesting back and forth here, and that kind of segues me back into the society. So, I mean, Remus Kane, who, by the way, have to give him a lot of credit. He has been the talk of a number of different pro wrestling companies, not just Nonstop Action Wrestling, where he is 1/4 of those tag team champions. We've seen him in Carnage Championship Wrestling, battle for Ronnie Thatcher's title. We've seen him in GT Ministries. We've seen him in UKW. Remus Kane, and people have said this outside Enso, Remus Kane is one of those wrestlers that you are going to keep an eye on because he's on his way to huge, huge things. He already has done that Nonstop Action Wrestling. But what do you want to say to Mr. Remus Kane?
Well, Remus, I can respect what you have done in this industry in your career so far, but what I can't respect is you telling people to attack referees, telling people that we, as young talent in this industry, can go nowhere. What I don't respect, Remus, is the way you go about your business. And I am one of those people who will do whatever I need to do to win. I can understand where you're coming from. What I don't understand, Remus, is why you feel you need backup every time you step in the ring, why you need Jenny Hayes, why you need Cal Kennedy, why you need Callum Majexter. Remus, you can get things done by yourself, but you choose the easy route.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's certainly a mouthful there, and I want to follow up because speaking of the attack on Sammy Rice, I do have the lawman Cal Kennedy with us, and I want to get further from what he has to say. You see, this is the reason why these punks ain't winning nothing come April the 29th. Matt Royale is going to be humbled by the wild card Tommy Dillon. I'm going to put Donnie franchise into early retirement. My society brothers are going to whoop whoever WAS has brought in to retain our tag titles, and then we're going to clean house and win the Rumble, and it's all for a good cause. All right, let me tie this into you and what you said a few minutes ago about how you felt about the attack on Sammy Rice. And obviously, we still don't have an update on how Sammy Rice is doing, and we certainly hope for the best for him, and we hope for his family, friends, and everybody in Wrestling Appreciation Society, even in Nonstop Action Wrestling, where he was certainly holding his own here as a referee and on the attack on him. We again hope for the best for him. But I mean, do you feel extra motivation coming up here in the 29th because you feel like you might be defending not only your home turf here in Huddersfield, debut show for a great cause, but also to kind of defend the honor of Sammy Rice with the attack that the lawman Kyle Kennedy put on him?
Yeah, well, since I started in WAS, I haven't really had the cleanest of slates when it comes to management. But Sammy is one of those people that, while I have had my issues with the upper management, Sammy is genuinely one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in any locker room, any company, no matter where you go. Sammy is one in a million. And for Kyle to put his hands on Sammy like that, for Kyle to attack Sammy with a chair for no reason other than Sammy did their job in a match. Kyle, you crossed a line, and on the 29th of April, Donnie Franchise is going to make you pay for making that mistake, because that is what you made, Kyle. You made a mistake.
Well, we're going to find out here, and certainly everybody on Sportswire Radio is going to want to go out there on the 29th of April and watch Wrestling Appreciation Society's inaugural show called Deadline. It'll be at the University of Huddersfield, and for more information on buying a ticket, you can go and follow the link here. And thank you to management for making it easy, because I was trying to read off the whole thing, and it's like one by one by one by one. And thank you, management, for making it easy, but it's very easy to follow them on Instagram at WrestleSociety.HUD. You can also like their page on Facebook as well, Wrestling Appreciation Society. And my name, which you know by now, is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I am the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio. And if you like what you hear from us on Facebook, continue to give us a like and follow at Sportswire Radio, YouTube at Sportswire Radio. I have a lot of new followers the last few weeks. So I want to thank everybody for the continued support. And if you're out there on sportnarium.com/player, you can listen to us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, with content from all over the world. We play music, talk, we stream these shows, we pretty much do it all. And you can also follow us on Instagram at the Sports Report 2021. I'll be back here during the week with more coverage. Stay tuned for an announcement for that as well coming up. But right now, we are here talking with Eoin Carter, who some would say is the real Outlaw King, which you can find him on Instagram that way. And he is going to be possibly that outlaw that could win that Rumble at Deadline on April the 29th. And everybody loves a Rumble. Everybody loves a good fight. And we'll see what Eoin Carter can pull out of his hat here. I have many more comments, so let's get to them. Psycho says, I walked in on my first day, held my own. I think we're behind here on comments. Yeah, because I feel like I read that comment. So that's unfortunately the glitches sometimes that do happen. You all have some serious anger issues. Now, this was the first show you've actually technically appeared on, which was the Zachary Zest show. And I know this is a guy that I don't know if you're actually a big fan of his, but I kind of saw a little bit about Mr. Zest with you and Mr. Phoenix. And anything you want to say toward Mr. Zest?
He's a joke. That's it.
All right. So I guess drum roll, please. But
I, I don't have anything else to
nothing
say.
else.
He's a joke.
All right. Well, certainly he might be a joke, but we'll have to find out sooner rather than later. Remus Kane, though, who's not a joke, and he's not joking around in this comment, says, "Oh, I have no doubts you can make it, all of you. Just not whilst we exist. And sometimes my personal needs must be put to one side for the society's needs to put first. That matters more than any sense of honor." I mean, do you think in some ways that maybe some would say the attack on Sammy Rice was a way to kind of almost trigger those in Wrestling Appreciation Society? You guys are young. You guys haven't had much experience. The society, they have the experience in the gold. They have the experience in the money, the main events. And this is a way to play mind games with all you guys to kind of get you guys off your game. And kind of in a way, Dan Robertson and how he tried to pull a fast one on young Horace, some might say. You feel in a way that maybe the society is trying to pull a fast one on you guys?
Honestly, I don't care what the motive was. What I care about is the actions that were taken. And I'm here to make sure that on the 29th of April, the entire society pay for those actions.
Okay. All right. Phantom Phoenix says, "How is it for someone who talks so much, you say so little? Your words are like your potential, wasted. You made things personal when you attacked our referee. Maybe if you learned to accomplish things on your own and you could back up these words. But for now, you're just a joke and a coward." Do you agree with the Phantom Phoenix's comment on the lawman Kyle Kennedy?
Stranger things have happened, but I actually do agree with Phoenix on this one.
Wow. I tell you what, you guys seem to be agreeing a lot more than
Yeah.
previously, I would say.
It's, one of those things that just brings people together, a tag team.
Okay. I got some more comments here, so let's get to them. The lawman Kyle Kennedy also says, "Nobody tells me what to do, kid. And certainly no one told me to put that dopey ref on their behind, and I did it via my own accord, simply because I felt like it." Well, let me ask you a question, because KP, speaking of referee, was a WAS person, and we saw him referee in the Asylum in the Drac Cross Psycho match. Did you have anything in the back of your mind that said, you know what, boy, I hope KP's going to be all right out there. I hope that the society aren't going to attack him or anything? Did that come to mind by anybody with you in the locker room?
Not really. I know for a fact that KP can handle himself, especially since on the 29th of April, he'll be entered, as you can see on the WAS Instagram, he's entered into the Fatal 4-Way for Sammy Blue's Northern Division title, which he better bring home to the WAS, or he and I will have words.
Ooh, now that's a personal one for you, especially the Northern Division Championship, because you're actually from a place outside of England, which kind of refers into this Northern Division Championship. So maybe talk about that personal point there that you just made.
Well, obviously the accent gives it away. I'm not actually English. I'm Irish. I'm from Derry. And back home in Derry, we don't have a lot of wrestling schools. We have one up in Belfast, NXG. Those guys are fantastic. And shout out to the entertainer Chris Mercer, the punk rock kid DD Crooks, the Carmel Delight Tommy Gold, all fantastic talents. Definitely people you need to watch out for in the UK scene as a whole. But I came to England because I wanted to face the best of the best, to prove that I am the best of the best of the best, to prove why I deserve my future kingdom as the Outlaw King.
Well, we're going to find out if you do become that Outlaw King, and I have to ask, this will kind of tie into a question here that this individual had for you in terms of your wrestling bucket list. Now, obviously, I'm sure you get asked a lot about to the fact, well, we know obviously Fit Finley's from Ireland, Sheamus,
Yeah.
Finn Balor, who you mentioned, and obviously the man Becky Lynch. I mean, Becky Lynch is on everybody's list these days, even outside the wrestling world, because she's become an actress and she's become so many different things, and obviously she's become one of the biggest mainstream stars in professional wrestling altogether. But I mean, who is on your wrestling bucket list? Are they on your wrestling bucket list, or is it somebody else?
Uh, Finn Balor definitely would be one of them. He's been one of my favorites for a while now. Uh, John Moxley, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Kenny Omega, anyone and everyone, basically. Oh, but those five definitely top the list.
Okay, well, you know what? Those are certainly some good ones there, and I kind of agree with that. But let me pull up a comment from management from Nonstop Action Wrestling because they have something to say to you, Mr. Carter. So I'd like you to hear it and tell us what you think. You're a fantastic talent, Mr. Carter, with an incredibly bright future. We wish you luck come April the 29th, and just know that there's certainly a place open for you here in Ensaw. What do you say to that?
I I really appreciate that. Um, I really do. It, like I said earlier, even to be in training in a wrestling ring is a dream come true. So the fact that they have the faith in me to say that I have such a bright future, that really does mean a lot.
And we know that everybody's futures are going to include April the 1st, Zenith, Nonstop Action Wrestling's biggest show to date yet. And the guest host is a guy, Martin Kirby, the legendary Martin Kirby. It's going to be headlined by Disciple and Connor Cage for that Enso World Class title. We're going to see the Society in action. We are going to see a whole list of people. We're going to see the Youngblood Championship. We're going to see the Northern Division champion, Sammy Blue in the house, Supersonic Sammy Blue. I mean, it's going to be a who's who of people. It's going to be their biggest show to date. And I'm telling you, you want to go to Ensaw Wrestling UK on Instagram, _UK on Twitter, also Facebook, YouTube. Follow Nonstop Action Wrestling because the Asylum. Also, we saw Psycho versus Drac Cross. And Drac Cross, I mean, I got to say, he's impressive. I mean, he's an emerging big man. So I have to say, to be fair, I know the Swarm always talked about Drac Cross could be somebody. He could definitely be somebody out there that I think you and everybody else are going to want to follow on the Nonstop Action Wrestling pages, especially on YouTube. Okay, let's get to some more comments because we're behind on a few. Also, here, there is one thing that all of us in Wrestling Appreciation Society can agree upon is basically fill in the blanks on the society. So that seems to be united all of you. Phantom Phoenix says, how is it possible for someone who talks so much to say so little? Your words are like your potential, wasted and easily forgotten. You made this personally after attacking a referee. Maybe if you learned to accomplish things on your own, you could back up these words, but you just can't quit hiding behind a steel chair and weaseling your way to the top. Keep talking now, Kennedy. What do you say to that?
Definitely sounds like fighting words. And the society do have those shiny little tag team titles.
You know, I saw something there. I saw a little glimmer in your eye, a twinkle, because I've noticed now these last couple different bits we've seen in WAS, you and the Phantom Phoenix have been kind of bonded a little bit. It's a mutual respect, it's a common goal, whatever you want to call it, right? But I'm noticing that maybe in the future, would you guys want to be a team? And oh, I don't know, maybe take a stab at those NSAW Tag Team Championships held by the Society.
We'll have to deal with this mass attacker first, but you never know. We could be the next NSAW Tag Team Champions.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if this isn't even more of a reason to follow Wrestling Appreciation Society and Nonstop Action Wrestling, you clearly need to have your head examined. Phantom Phoenix says, although Peel Back the Truth was fun, I think that this would be more entertaining. Interesting comments there from the Phantom Phoenix. Undoubtedly, very, very interesting comments. But I have to ask you a question. I always ask this question as we're getting ready for closing thoughts and such with you. And obviously, it's been a tremendous honor to hear your story and such. And get ready here for April 29th. And stay tuned for an announcement later in the week on Sportswire Radio about more Wrestling Appreciation Society coverage. But what are your goals in professional wrestling?
Obviously, I want to win as many championships as I can, be that. And so I'll go to Progress, Rev Pro, New Japan. I just want to wrestle anywhere and everywhere I can and just prove why I am the best, why I deserve to be in this ring, why I have earned everything that I have.
All right, those are pretty fair comments. And I wanted to go back to Wrestling Appreciation Society in a different way because obviously we know that this show is a good cause. It's a good cause for charity, and it's obviously about cancer and so many people impacted around the world by it. And even on the stream here, we had somebody talk about it in a way that we certainly hope it doesn't happen to this individual. And you can go back and you might know who I'm referring to if you watched some of our shows last week on Sportswire Radio, but I'm going to leave that for another time and place. But I mean, talk about what this cause means to you, what this charity means, and also just the event and just everything else with it.
Obviously, donate. Even if you're not coming to see the show, please donate to cancer research. They do fantastic work up and down the UK. They help so many people, and hopefully one day they won't be needed. I genuinely hope for a day where that cancer is nothing more than a common cold. Basically, it's such a horrible thing for people who experience it, for the families of people who experience it. Just donate, even if it's only a $5. Please donate to Deadline. Please donate to cancer research in
Absolutely. No, absolutely, no question about it. It's just what cancer has done to people, what it has done to our world. You think about all the science and I'm about to say the society, but all the science, all the money that we have in this world, and the fact that we still haven't eradicated cancer is just, it amazes me. And certainly we pray for anybody that is impacted by it, and we certainly want to make sure we support our dear friends over at Wrestling Appreciation Society. And that's the link here for more information. Also, WrestleSociety.hud for further information. Because again, this is just, I mean, cancer, what cancer has done to the world. And it's just, I mean, my heart goes out to everybody impacted by it. And I think almost 1 in 2 people are impacted by cancer in their life. So that tells you that almost all of us are going to be impacted by cancer. So we certainly need to do our part and support those that are trying to help those fight the good fight. And Wrestling Appreciation Society and Owen Carter, the real Outlaw King, are going to do all those things. But as we're getting close to the closing thoughts here, I know you obviously got a lot on your plate. You're training. You're getting ready to figure out this whole masked attacker. We spoke about Sammy Rice. We spoke about the society. And I mean, what do you want to say directly to anybody here in kind of a final thoughts here? I'll let you speak to the masked attacker out there who I'm sure is hearing this. I'll let you address the society or anyone else that might get in your way.
I just have one simple message for the masked attacker, for the society, for anyone out there who says that we are not good enough, for anyone who says that we are playing wrestler. We are here. We are very real. And you should all be very, very afraid.
Ladies and gentlemen, does he look like he could be a leader of the Judgment Day like Finn Balor? I don't know. But what he does look like right now is an Outlaw King. And you very well may bow your head to the king. because he could very well be on April the 29th a man with a mission, a man that could have gold in his future, because certainly he has a number of people in his sights, whether it is the society, whether it is the masked attacker, whether it is who knows who else from where. Certainly, Owen Carter is a man you are going to want to keep an eye on here. And before we get to closing thoughts, the lawman Kyle Kennedy has chimed in here and says, Phantom of the Dop. Look at me. Tag team champion, multiple shows, multiple companies, main events, and your future NSAW Youngblood champion. And then look at you, a Phantom and a Phoenix. You're incredibly deluded. It's shown by the fact of what you just said. Again, look at me and see what I've done in such a little time. And you say I'm not living up to my potential?
Kyle, even if you were living up to the pinnacle of what you can achieve, the fact that you've gone about it in such a two-faced and conceited way of attacking anyone who even slightly disagrees with you, you're nothing more than a joke at that point.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll certainly figure it all out here, and certainly we'll see if that's the case. Certainly, Owen Carter's got a lot to say, a lot to back up. But I tell you what, I want to be following Wrestling Appreciation Society most certainly to find out here. And certainly, again, April the 29th, that is where Deadline is going to take place in Huddersfield. We're all excited about it. We're all excited about the future of Owen Carter. And Owen, I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts and anything else you want to plug, share, say. It has certainly been a tremendous honor. We look forward to the future with you, my friend, and anything else that you may want to say. And floor is yours, my friend.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. But second, I want to just say buy tickets for Deadline. They're on sale now. Buy tickets for Zenith if you plan on coming to see the future of the WAS at NSAW, and donate to cancer research.
Amen to all of that. Cancer sucks, I think, is the line that somebody used to famously say. It was some society and somebody in society that had said that. So I think that and I keep the societies on my mind the whole night. I think it's like the fourth time I referenced the society about cancer. So, but the general point is, all of us here in society are practically impacted by cancer. And that's why we want to support this wonderful cause from Wrestling Appreciation Society, Real Outlaw King, WrestleSociety.hud on Instagram as well. And just again, I want to thank you, my friend, for this opportunity. I certainly look forward to watching you in the ring very soon. And certainly the rest of the crew that is going to be out there on the 29th of April. And don't be a stranger, and maybe we'll get the Phantom Phoenix on Sportswire very soon. That could be next on the list. He has certainly had a lot to say, and I am sure he'll have just as much on his mind as you did with us tonight.
Thank you for having me again. It's been
All
a pleasure.
right. Absolutely. And you were here on Sportswire Radio with pro wrestling star Owen Carter, who is going to be a part of the April the 29th show, the Wrestling Appreciation Society. For more information on the show, you can go to the WrestleSociety.hud page on Instagram. You can also go here for tickets and see the website link below. So thank you to management for putting that out there. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I am the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio. And if you're on sportnarium.com/player, you'll be going back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, we'll be back later this week with more coverage here. When it comes to professional wrestling and the world of sports, I also want to thank everybody here that is tuned in. Also, Anastasia Riznia from the state of California. Also, want to thank Rob Maraska, analyst on the Sports Report, that is tuned in. Also, a number of different people. I want to thank the many fans of Nonstop Action Wrestling, the Wrestling Appreciation Society, and certainly we want to make sure everybody follows these great shows as well. So thank everybody for tuning in on the number one global radio station. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Thank you to Owen Carter. We'll see if he's the real Outlaw King. But stay tuned for more content here on sportnarium.com/player. And if you're on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, we'll be back very soon on the number one global radio station. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce.